Kanard Lewis, folks. And boy, what do we have here? Our fourth guest for the TKW video series. And what's your name?
Stacy Diaz.
Well, Stacy Diaz, it's nice to meet you. You know, we're about to close up 2015. You know, what better way to have one more interview before our last two episodes. One more the week after this one, and then the last episode on the first week of 2016. So, Stacy, tell me a little bit about yourself. You know, name, well, obviously name, but you know, major, what you like to do. You know, just simple standard stuff, just so we can get started.
Well, I am currently a freshman.
Okay.
I am studying engineering here at Fredonia. I'm trying to pursue a minor in applied math and Spanish. And yeah, that's basically it.
Nice. You know, you talk about, you know, your major and your minor. Minor is going to be Spanish, right? And
applied math.
Applied math, and your major's engineering.
Mm-hmm.
So, not to discard the minor, because, you know, minors are always good.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, why out of all majors, you know, why not major in, you know, why major in engineering? Just why that major?
Well, I started doing sports at the end of my freshman year, and I went through a lot with injuries, and I felt like the way my injury was treated and the way injuries are treated in general, I feel like it could be improved with the advancements of technology. And honestly, I struggled a lot in math in high school, and I felt like just because I saw that I was able to improve my math, you know, engineering is mostly about math and sciences.
Applications and equations and stuff like that.
I was recent here, and just knowing that I was able to get back up and get better on my math skills and my science skills, and I felt like I could just use that as a way to help out other people when there's a lot of people right now struggling with injuries. They can't go back to their sports, and just being able to create something to help them get back up and do what they love, that's just rewarding. That's why I want to.
That's nice. So your foundation of why you want to do it is basically, you know, helping out others. You know, making sure that, you know, that their life is kind of better because of your, you know, I don't know, engineering ways. You know, is you know, just something like, you know, that. But you know what? Now, you talk about your injury. You know, how did you heal through that? 'Cause, you know, that must have been a difficult process. I've never been injured to the point where I needed a cast or I needed to get surgery. You know, I do need something for my shoulders, but I haven't got that yet. Mm-hmm. But how did you go through that process? You know, like mentality wise, getting back in the game. Yeah. You know, with your gymnastics, how did you do that?
It was hard. I feel like, you know, like when you're growing up and you start doing sports, you feel like you're the strongest you could be, that nothing can break you, that you're doing your best, that nothing's gonna happen. Once that hits, you're like, boom, like reality. It's just, I went through a lot. It was a lot of pain. Well, I had a head concussion. Just having to go to the hospital quite a few times, having to, you know, to hear my coaches telling me that I couldn't do what I love, having to not go to school at times, and just like sit down on my bed and wonder what was going on, why was I not able to, you know, see light, hear sounds, go back to school, read properly, talk to my friends, have my normal life. But I don't know, it just gave me strength. It was like an over 4-month process. I'm still suffering from that past, but I feel like when I went back to my sports, which I thought I couldn't be able to, I was as strong as I could be. I just felt like it just made me want it more. You know, like I just feel like some people when we go through injuries, we go through hardships, we just give up. True. I feel like it just gave me the power to actually go back and be as strong as I could be. It was amazing.
So when you got back into it, you know, you probably failed. I don't know, you know, the true story about, you know, your process, but, you know, obviously when somebody returns back to the game after being out, you know, due to an injury, you kind of, you know, distrust your abilities a little bit because first you had to, have your body healed through time, with time. Then you have to rehabilitate it, with more time, going through physical therapy. And then after you have both of those times ending, now you have to apply those skills to the game. So how did you kind of just break past that barrier of fear and to trust that your body was going to be okay? So even if you fall, it wasn't because of your injury, it's because you were all in your head, or that you just messed up. Now you need to pick yourself up. So like how do you do that?
In sports, you're really hesitant. When you suffer from an injury, you just feel like if you do it over again, everything is gonna happen, and you're gonna go through the same pain and everything. When I was talking to my doctors, I was talking to my coaches. They were like, "Are you sure that you want to go back? Are you sure that you're not gonna be frustrated and you're not gonna be weak enough to go through it again?" Because when you're kind of hesitant, you're more prone to go through the same situation again. I was like, no, I really want it. And when I went back, I knew that I was at risk of having a concussion again just because my brain was weak. But I feel like when you just want it just, regardless of whether it happens again, if it happens again, well, okay, it just happened, but it happened while I was doing something that I loved. It's not like I go out on the streets, I get run over by a car, and,
God forbid,
God forbid, it just happened because I was doing something I loved. It's not like I regret it. I loved every second of it. I would not wish anyone to go through that situation, but it's life. I mean, things happen.
It does. It does definitely, happen. And, you talk about things happening, us, you going through, your rehabilitation and everything. How did you personally go throughout life, rehabilitating again, your mindset, in terms of, what struggles in your past really define who you are as a person right now? Because you already touched upon one.
Mm-hmm.
Your struggles with your concussion, and rehabilitating for sports. But for what other aspects of your life really added to the Stacey Diaz that I'm looking at right now?
Well, I came to the United States 4 years ago for the first time.
So where were you prior?
I am Dominican Republic.
Dominicana. Gotcha.
Yeah, you already know.
Of course.
Yeah.
Mango and everything. Hey,
yeah.
Of course.
All right.
I love the food.
Yeah. I feel like I went through so much in the process, considering the fact that I knew English, I knew how to defend myself, but just being on a Spanish high school in a Friday and coming here and being on a American high school on a Monday, that was frustrating. I felt like my life had changed completely in a way that I consider myself able to achieve anything I wanted to, but when I came here, I just felt like the language was such a barrier. I just felt like I had so many goals, but I was not going to be able to achieve it just because I was,
That's true.
Yeah.
But, talking about barriers, Spanish was your first language, right?
Yeah, correct.
Then you had to learn English.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come in here and get this language barrier, and you have to, again, go through more barriers. Because, again, in your country, you were able to do everything because there wasn't a lack of communication. The channels were always open. Now you come to a different country, different experiences, different school, different people, and now the channels of communication kind of shrink a little bit because now it's not just speaking Spanish all the time. It's going from Spanish to English.
Mm-hmm.
It's going from, being in a third world country to being in a first world country.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's going from that party school that you could just do whatever you want in your own homeland, and then you come here. So how did you make that transition? You talk about gymnastics, and track and all those things, from me already knowing you, but was that the only way that allowed you to transition, or were there other ways?
I feel like the language kind of was the biggest thing that I felt like changed so much. The culture, not that much. I just felt like, considering that my family and everybody around me, like, they were so fluent in English, and my sisters and I were like the only ones not knowing English as much. And you would go around and you would hear people speaking so fast, and I was just like, when am I gonna get there? Like, what? Like, when is that gonna happen? I just felt like I was not able to achieve that.
So it's that question, when,
Yeah.
like when is this gonna happen for me?
And it's not just about being patient. It's about like putting your goals in action. I said I'm not gonna let that bring me down. I am going to force myself. My dad would speak to me in English, even though I was, I did not know. I was confused. When they would ask me a question, I would think it twice. I had to translate from Spanish to English to actually say something, articulate sentences and stuff. But after that, I mean, I got involved in so many school activities, so many things that actually forced me to be stronger at the language. So many, college classes after school, writing classes that made me become the writer I am now, that made me become the person I am now. I feel like I kind of forced myself to fit into this system, but at the same time, I felt like I owned it. Like, I wanted to become part of it. It's not like it was just forced. I felt like I needed that in order to become the person I want to become in future years.
That's always a big thing. Just going back. Because I was thinking about something that you said earlier in this interview about why you wanted to be an engineer. You talk about helping people. I that's what I do here. I speak to help. I talk to people to help. Is what makes me feel good. It's what I know to make sure that people are feeling a little bit together with themselves, because when they realize that somebody's out there that is not all that different, you feel you don't feel as lonely. You know what I mean. And you talk about helping people, but when you help people tend to take advantage of that help. So because it's happened to me. You help people out, and you don't do it because you want something. You just do it because it's in your nature. So how did you, again, did people take advantage of that help? And if they did, are you dealing with it? Have you dealt with it? What are your, what's that mindset when you constantly see that people are taking advantage of you and not really appreciating? Sure, they may say thank you, but then they call you for help at the last minute. They don't really, are considerate about the things that you're going through. So how do you deal with that?
It's crazy. I'm still dealing with it up to this day. I was always raised. I was raised by my mom. My mom and dad separated before I was born, and I was raised by my mom, and she just taught me that regardless of whether you get a reward at the end, regardless of whether you get recognized at the end, you should always extend your arms and give the person whatever they need, because you don't know when you're gonna need it back, and you don't always have something to give that person, and you might need their help in the future. So I was raised like that. Somebody would ask me for something, even if I don't have the time, even if it's not the right day, even if I'm in a bad day, in a bad mood, I just feel like I have to do it. And to me, it was fine. To me, it was something, I grew up into it. I grew up doing it. But as I entered high school here, I felt like I was being taken advantage of. I felt like my friends, my actual friends, the people I trusted, I felt like even them, they just felt like they got so used to the fact that I was so nice and I helped them all the time. Anything they wanted, any homework they wanted, they knew I was skilled with whatever subjects I was skilled with, and they would come here and they knew, oh, Stacy's so nice that she's gonna do it. Stacy's so nice that, and to me it was fine. As long as they were happy, it was fine. But it got to the point where I just couldn't hold it anymore. I was just like, are you still gonna always rely on me to do your work? Are you going to, how would you feel when you get 100 on a test when you know that you did not do it? You know what I mean? And I've got people, all over telling me, you have to stop being like that, because at the end, it's not their hard work, it's not their dedication, it's yours. And they shouldn't, you know, like, it's unacceptable. It's just part of me. I'm still dealing with it. It's gonna take me time, but at least I have realized that. I opened my eyes, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, because, you know, there is a fine line, folks, in terms of helping people out and doing the work for them. You know, that's a fine line that I flirted with. That's a fine line that Stacy has flirted with. And, you know, that's a big thing to understand, because as you are helping other people out by doing their work, you are subconsciously, you know, deteriorating their own development, because you're not allowing them to grow. You doing their work doesn't help out them. It helps out you in terms of, you know, okay, yes, I'm getting more skills, but what about the growth of others? You know, we talk about helping out others. We talk about wanting to you know, be helpful citizens, but we get sometimes, people take our niceness or, you know, our kindness for weakness. And that's not good, because you want to be able to be looked at, okay, that they're helping me out, that they're doing what I need to do. And, you know, in terms of bullying, I was helped out, you know, but there was a point where my bro needs to stop standing up for me, and I had to stand up for yourself. There's a moment where you have to stop asking people to do it for you and start understanding that they've already done enough just by giving you a word, just by being there for you, because it's your life. It's not they can't live two lives in one lifetime. Like, that's physically impossible. You know, God gave them one life to live, not yours. So you need to start growing. But thank you, Stacy,
Yeah.
for the time and, you know, the answering of the questions, because it's not that easy to open up about your past, about your pain and all that. But thank you. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys when I see you.
Next
Thank
year.
you. Next year. Thank you.